welcome to ReLAYshons, episode 2. I am so excited to have this going on again. The first episode was a bit intense. I did it by myself, and it was a lot. So thank you for whoever listens, your comments, your feedback. It was greatly appreciated. So into episode 2, I want to introduce my co-host of the week. Yay! My VIP guest, Andrew E. We're going to keep it at Andrew E. He is my childhood friend, probably one of my longest friendships. Met each other at 13. We are now 32, 33 years old, so imagine that. And he's like I would say my first real platonic friendship between a male and myself. And now I have many of them, but that was my first one. And I mean, we're going to probably have a whole episode on that just because that's a topic within itself. But that's not what this is about. This is about the evolution of fatherhood. So not only did I see him grow up to be a man and saw him go through puberty, which was weird. And and then I saw him get married, and now I'm watching him be a father of 2 perfect angel little girls, Zuri and Sahai. That's right. And so I thought this was like perfect for us to kind of talk about fatherhood as he's going through his new age transition of fatherhood. And we are first generation millennials in this country, where we both come from immigrant parents. Mm-hmm. And so I think I know our experiences are like probably many others or not like others. Some people could relate, some people could not, but I think it's just an interesting story. So I'm going to lead it with, I guess, a little briefing about my father. So my parents met when my mom was 22 and my father was 10 years older, so he was 32. And, they were just dating, and, my mom, shared her virginity with him and got pregnant with me. And in that moment, they had a conversation, and my mom was like, I know we're not really serious, and, we might not be in a serious relationship, but I'm having my child. So you don't have to be a part of this. I'm going to do this solo, but if you want to be a part of it, let's try it. And so, boom, 13 years later, they had 3 kids, started businesses together, went through a big turmoil of not a healthy relationship, which had to end. And so now, my mom just recently passed, as you guys heard in my previous podcast. And my father now retired from this country, worked in this country for 35 years, and retired and went back to Dominican Republic, where I'm from. And now he's living his grand old life, so he claims. I don't know much, but our relationship is not a typical father-daughter relationship, but it once was. And so recently, after my trip from Bali, it just kind of hit me that I had to transition our relationship to whatever it is now, to something that I no longer had to give my energy to and have any anxiety. Like every time he calls, I get anxiety, and I always have to think about whether I should pick up or not, and what I'm gonna say and what he's gonna say, and it just becomes a very tumultuous thing. And so I kind of want to release it. So I wrote him a goodbye letter. And I wrote it in Spanish, so I'm not going to share with you the letter that I wrote because many of you are not going to understand it. But I did write a letter to myself to kind of just bring closure to this, father-daughter relationship. So I'm going to read it to you guys.
Let's hear it.
We'll lead with that. 1 second. Okay. I'm damaged, but I wasn't always that way. I was daddy's little girl. He said, I love you all the time. Tell me how beautiful I was as he kissed and bit my cheeks. He would make me breakfast every Sunday morning. He would wake me up for school singing a tune with my name in it. He would play me music and dedicate them to me. He would drive me to McDonald's and let me order outside of the kids menu, even when I was a kid. He would give me a weekly allowance and always said yes to everything I asked for. He called me his heart. But then nights and weekends would wipe that all away with alcohol and the pain he carried. All his pain became anger when he would use to strike my mom with words and his fist. Broke down our family, and no matter what happened when the sun came up, the events of the nightly routine did not disappear for years until he disappeared. But he lingers like this faint memory which pops up on my phone every time he calls. And the feelings of whether I should answer and what should I say takes over. So this word father, I don't know what it means or how it should make me feel. What I do know is that it's time for me to release that link and say goodbye. Goodbye, Father. So, I don't feel anything negative towards this decision I've made. I do feel bad for him because I don't want to hurt his feelings. And I know now, especially after my mom passed away, he feels like he has to compensate and be like an extra parent, but it's like kind of too late. And I'm an adult and I'm okay with kind of releasing being a parentless human on this earth, which is a very hard thing to admit, but not because of the loss of him, but because of the loss of my mom, who for me was both of my parents for a very long time. So I kind of want to release him from that burden. I want to release myself, and I kind of want to be able to like move on and feel strong enough to stand on my own, because I know I can. Like, I'm doing it. So
yeah. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I know I can. So it's just gonna take practice and time.
Yeah, I'm a classic. I always play the devil's advocate with Melissa.
Always.
And again, I don't condone any type of abusive relationship at all, with whatever kind of relationship it is. But now that I am a father, and now that I am 30 plus, now that I've, life's kind of took its toll on me, like it does everybody after a while, I have a little, I wouldn't say sympathy at all, but I have a little
understanding?
Yeah, maybe.
Perspective?
Yeah, perspective. Perspective is probably a good word. So, I guess to ask you questions, now you said he was there 13 years.
Yes. He left when I was 13.
That's a long time.
Yeah, he left when I was 13, and I guess the 9th month that my mom was pregnant. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a long time. I definitely understand you being upset with him, and absolutely you should. I'm sure you've had people in similar situations. Sometimes they're cool with their dad, sometimes they're not. Like, what do you think of? Is it, of all things, is it because of how he treated his mom, treating your mom? Is it because he left? Like, if you had to drill it down to one overbearing thing in terms of why you want this to happen, what would you say it is?
I really don't think I'm holding anything against him from the past. We kind of talked about it. Maybe like 7 years ago, he showed up to New York, and we actually had a face-to-face where he admitted his wrong, and he kind of told me a little background of what he went through as a child, and like not to give excuses for his actions, but more to kind of show me his human side, and show me his pain, and that he was in pain, and that he indeed, did made mistakes and admitted it. And so I have forgiven him. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven my mom. So this is not really about the past. It's about now, and like the fact that now is not conducive to my growth. It's not conducive to, my progress. For me to just continue to answer this phone every single time.
I tend to think that older people have a lot of wisdom. Do you think that his wisdom is something that's not the kind of wisdom you want?
Yeah, it's not valuable. To be 100% honest with you, I after talking with my sister and like dealing with him in the last couple of years.
Talk to him?
Yeah, she does, but she has like the same type of relationship I do.
But a little more, a little better, a little...
No, I would say the same.
Just the same? Okay.
Our tolerance level is different, but yeah, the same relationship. I presume, based on my experience with him, I'm not a doctor, but I think that my father may have some type of mental disorder.
Okay.
And so I do feel bad for him because it's not his fault. His upbringing wasn't his fault. His circumstances weren't, but it's also not my responsibility to like fix it or help him or deal with it on a consistent basis. So it's more of like, oh, okay, it's time to step back and like take care of myself.
No, I absolutely understand that. I guess my perspective comes from, like you said, just being married, having kids. He had 3 kids. Being the man of a household, trying to provide. It's a lot of pressure. I definitely think, as a mom and as a wife or parent or partner or whatever, I think, I personally think it's just harder for a woman, but it's also very hard for a man, and very emasculating maybe when things don't go, as you thought they would. We're all, we have kids, and the thought is that they're gonna be going to Harvard, and they're gonna, all these things you have, and it's just like, it's so scary. I deal with that even right now. I'm just saying they're young. All this is 2, and it's like, I guess I have to kind of manage my expectations, and in terms of his kids, and even with his partner in this case, because they weren't married. It's tough because, like I said, I really think women have it harder. I think just me being a father now, I see that kids just cling to their mom more, even on a basic level. Maybe it's a little more annoying. The love is more annoying. But, you also have to, it's a partnership. It's supposed to be a partnership. So you guys have to both provide for each other. And I think as a man, you have to kind of take in her frustrations, whatever they may be, because you guys are a team. So I don't know. I think that it's tough. Things didn't work out obviously as he thought they would. And I guess to my next point, I know from knowing you that I guess he went on. He has another family. Did he? How far did he get? After you guys.
That's a little vague still.
Oh, still.
Yeah, he popped up and told me he had a baby a couple of years ago, and then he also told me about a brother that I had before he had me. I also had a sister before he had me, who I met. So yeah, he has a whole tribe going on, and he's living his life, and it's very vague.
That's right.
And I don't really ask so many questions, and I feel like he may be feeling some uncomfortableness trying to express that to me. So I don't push it. So again, no malice and no ill intent. It's just time.
Okay.
So what about you though, Andrew? Like, tell me about your experience and now that you're a father, like take me back to memory lane and your relationship with your father.
Oh man, my dad. He was, I guess, a little similar to yours. In terms of just being there. He was very present. He took us out. He actually woke us up every morning, got us dressed, fed us, drove us to school every day. That's just kind of dad. He was very hands-on. And as the oldest, I had a certain...
Oldest of 3.
Yeah, oldest of 3.
I'm also the oldest of 3.
Yeah. It's 3 boys. But being the oldest, you kind of have... Or he kind of gave me a certain amount of responsibility. Just to be the leader, kind of take care of my brothers. And I think that's definitely one of the things that gave me a lot of confidence growing up, just instilled that in me. And I think I carry it with me to this day. He was a very confident guy. I thought my dad was the man. People used to treat him as such. Again, my father's from Nigeria. My father's from Nigeria, my mother's from Haiti. So 2 immigrant parents. I don't think you could get blacker than that.
I mean, that is as black as we come. Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. Of course, my parents argue like all parents. It wasn't until later on that, he passed away. After he passed away, that's when my mom kind of was like, oh, he used to do this. He was like that. So it's crazy that, I would see my parents argue like everyone, but I didn't know all this stuff. So I definitely appreciate my mom. I appreciate both of them really, because now that I'm married with kids, I know how hard it could be. Yeah. So,
and the fact that they were able to keep that away from you, was pretty big. Yeah.
They kind of frauded it, I guess, maybe, or tried to. Anyway, again, we used to see it all the time. But you know, I wouldn't say it was like crazy to be honest. Just you know, just being real. So yeah, yeah, definitely just positive memories about him, and yeah.
So what are the things that you remember to be the most valuable to you now that you are a parent? Like, what is it that you're going to take on from your parents? And then what would you change?
Definitely being hands-on. I think being hands-on. I do that now. I actually, you know, just because of scheduling and just because I love them, I get them, I wake them up, I get them dressed, I get them fed, I drive them to school, I pick them up, I do all this stuff. So it's really interesting that it comes full circle.
Yeah.
And just leadership, I think, was another big thing. I think confidence, you know, just growing up, like anyone, growing up black in America, I guess even, right, was big. And I would say even with him passing, again, he's Nigerian, so even in that culture, as the oldest, I had to play a big part in the funeral proceedings. And even after he passed, so he passed away the second week I was in college, second weekend. So it was kind of sudden, really. The last time I saw him was on campus. And while all that's going on, I end up he's buried in Nigeria. So I jet off, you know, I'm in a daze and I jet off to Nigeria. And I think even that, I feel like he was still kind of pulling the strings because it's just exactly what I needed, you know? The second I got off that plane, I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I just kind of just like, all right, this
something
is
that came over you,
yeah,
just being,
absolutely,
just landing there.
Absolutely. So maybe he knew that, you know? Again, he was always kind of prepping me to be a leader. So I feel like that stuff really stays with me. And he tried to lead us, you know, by example, which I personally do. That's my leadership style. I like to lead by example, and sure, I make mistakes. I'm sure you know I make mistakes.
We all do. We're
yeah,
human.
Of course.
That's
but you know, I try not to let people see those mistakes anyway, like us all. But yeah, I think yeah, as I'm getting older, I just see how much I am kind of like him or turned into him maybe. Yeah, and it's even crazy. I feel like even my wife kind of reminds me of my mom a bit. They say you marry your parents. You ever heard that?
Yes, yeah. I have. That's
so
scary.
In my case, I feel like it's interesting, but yeah.
I hope that's not the case for me.
Yeah, I personally think that's the case, but yeah, I think he took a lot of great things from him. Yeah, and as I feel like he's molded me into the parent I am now. I always want to be as active as possible, going to as much events, teaching them the lessons, everything. He kind of did that with us. He would take me specifically, and what's great, yeah, I have two girls, so my oldest, I kind of do that with her. You know, I kind of maybe groom her, maybe for lack of a better term. You know, I kind of groom her to say, hey, you know, I want you to take care of, and she's 2 years old, obviously, but take care of your little sister and take care of your mom, always. Be nice to mom. You don't do that to mom. You don't do it to your sister. You know, they both go to the same daycare. You know, look after your sister. Listen to mommy. Things like that. So, yeah, I feel like without even realizing it, every time I sit down and when I do have 10 seconds to myself, which is seldom, I think about that. So yeah, it's yeah. So
now being a millennial, right, first generation in this country, and being in 2018, what do you think are the things that you would change or do differently based on your upbringing?
Oh man, such a different world, right? From what it was. I mean,
a whole different world. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I was thinking on the car right here. My last interaction with one of them, like I said, I saw him on campus. He sent me a letter, the second week of school for books, and he sent me cash. Now I was thinking in my head like, yeah, we used to do that back then. People used to mail cash. I don't think people mail cash now. There's
and I don't think it's like
3,000 apps.
Isn't that like a limit to like how much you can mail or something? It's definitely illegal.
Yeah, probably. But yeah. What would I change?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
What would you change? And the reason why I asked, right, is because like I'm just looking at fathers now being so different than I remember my father and his, my uncles and.
How do you think they are now? Like, what difference do you see?
I just see more interactiveness, like fathers who are way more interactive, way more present.
Yeah.
Very, very much open about things, about everything. Also because we're Americans, right? And we know the American lifestyle, the way that we're communicating with, I would presume, our kids or your kids and the kids of this new generation is very different than our parents were communicating to us. I mean, I don't know in your household, but in my household, they were very Dominican. Although my mom came to this country when she was 11, so she was Americanized to a way. Like, she would play Donna Summers.
Yeah.
But the salsa would come on and the merengue would come on, and it was just very. There was a lot of culture that from their homeland.
That is very true.
And we have the culture, but our culture is more Americanized, so it's like a different form.
Watered down. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the way we communicate, the way we do anything, right, is very different from a third world country.
I'd agree, and you're right. I think, with that said, I think that, I grew up very, like I said, Haitian and Nigerian, so, like, I grew up very, very, very entrenched in those two cultures, and my wife's Indian, so the kids kind of have three kind of cultures that they have present. And my wife was born in India, so maybe she's a little more
tied into
than I am. Yeah. So I think that's a great point. Definitely, I grew up eating both foods all the time, every night, every single night. I guess Haitian food's more Caribbean, I guess, but Nigerian food's a lot different, and that's what I grew up eating. I can't wait.
And Sahai loves tacos.
Yeah, Sahai loves tacos. Her favorite.
So she's partially Mexican at some point in her lineage, I'm sure.
Yeah, she does like Indian food as well. She likes her rice and beans as well. I can't say I've given her anything like super Nigerian per se, but I can't wait. I guess my dad was pretty strict. He was a strict kind of guy. He was strict, but I knew my ways to get over on him. But I think now that my daughter's 2, going through her terrible 2s, I've kind of had to dial it up a bit, kind of just pulling the reins a bit. So I've been getting a little strict. So I mean, it's early, but I'm definitely going to take some tactics from my dad.
Yeah, this new generation needs everything early. I mean, they are early.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because they're early, now we have to be early with everything that we do with them. So.
It's crazy, yeah.
So insane. My little new ends.
Absolutely. So, I think, I don't know. What I would change, it's tough to say. I don't want to say my upbringing was perfect, but... my parents, I guess it was a different time in Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn. So, we always had a stable household. I guess stable in terms of just, it was always, we weren't like living on the street or anything. Everything was pretty organized, I guess. Just to try to, even from that childhood, I think I would even tighten that up more. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm just thankful. I don't know. We were in New York. We see all types of different situations. And who knows if my father passed when I was 18? Who knows how him and my mom would have ended up? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Especially when I talk to my mom, I never know. But it was 18 years, and I appreciated all of it. I guess I could say that now. Well, I could always say it, Yeah. I guess now that I'm older, I won't say I have more respect for them now because I'm a man and just seeing everything. So, yeah. So
you have a different prayer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, in conclusion, how will you make our lineage proud? How would you create the foundation of this new age fatherhood? What are you going to pay it forward? What are you going to teach our new friends who's about to have a baby in a couple of weeks? What do you suggest?
My thing is just being super, 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 super proud. Just man, they're the greatest thing ever. I know it's cliche, kids are the greatest thing ever, but they are. And just being super proud. I have two girls too, which also was I grew up, there's a lot of guys in my family, very masculine family. So for me, having two girls I'm still wrapping my head around that, honestly.
But don't you think you were being kind of prepared by having all these like female friends?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I have two brothers. I don't have any sisters, so I think it's just amazing that now, and I see them play with each other, that now I'm about to see how two sisters grow up. It's just really, really, really crazy. I see it now with them interacting, it's really crazy. But yeah, I would say just be proud, be there, be present. I think, I don't want to say fathers get a bad rap, but maybe in America or whatever, or I don't know, maybe for black, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I think that, honestly think that all cultures have a great foundation in terms of fatherhood. Every culture around the world, and I'm not going to say I've read up on every culture, but I think, being a man is different everywhere. And I think one big thing, me traveling the world, which is funny, ever since, we even went on our first Euro trip or something, I've always looked to see how fathers interact with their kids. Going somewhere and just seeing, I felt like even in Europe, but even back in my day, just, more proud. I just, so now I can't wait to do, be that kind of father. I feel like I kind of try, everywhere I go, I kind of try to take something out of what it is from that culture, being a father, being a parent, being a husband, because they're all not easy. And, which kind of brings me to your dad is, I know it's not easy, but, you just got to push through, and, that would be my thing with the fellas. It's going to come. It is tough. Anything that's worth doing is always going to be hard. So just stay in there, hang in there. It's, it's worth doing. Just always know that, guys.
Ooh, that's a good ending. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. This concludes Dance with My Father. And let's create and be part of our evolution of our lineage. Thanks, Andrew. I was loved. If I could get another chance, another walk, another. And here are the after credits from my co-host. We match energy.
So I also took some time to reflect and wrote some things down as well and can share. Okay, so my father was Nigerian and my mother's Haitian, and I don't think you could get any blacker than that. Just had to say that. But like most African fathers, he was pretty strict and had high expectations for his kids. He was very active, woke us up every morning, got us dressed, got us fed, dropped us off at school, everything. As the oldest, him and I had a tight bond. He grew me to be a leader, and all my confidence comes from him. He would take me on errands with him and show me how it was done. He passed suddenly on my second weekend of college. Actually, the last time I saw him was when he dropped me off at college. Within those 2 weeks, he had sent me a letter, actually, with some money for book money. And it was a great, supportive letter, and just amazing that was the last thing I got from him. He was buried in Nigeria, so in the midst of this all, I had to go back home to Nigeria, and I was absolutely in a daze until I got off the plane. As the oldest boy, I was very, very involved in the funeral proceedings in the U.S. and in Nigeria. It was amazing to see my family that I always would hear about. They were so supportive, and it made me very proud to be African going there, because growing up, I was always an African booty scratcher. I know you guys remember that. And that trip undoubtedly was a life-changing moment, and I absolutely needed that at that time. It was at that point that I started feeling sorry for myself and made a decision to be the man I wanted to be. I came home and was ready to live life and be 100% into my family. I feel like I'm like my dad now with his tendencies, and that my beautiful wife has the tendencies of my mom. They say you marry your parents, and I kind of agree with that. I always wanted to do the marriage and kids thing because I always loved kids. And having two daughters was and still is a big shock to me that I'm getting used to, coming from a family with a lot of guys. It's a feeling I've never felt before. So, and I'm personally someone who leads by example, so I enjoy showing them how they should be treated. And, you know, one of the things I love best is when I hug and kiss their mom in front of them. I love to see the huge smiles they both get on their face. It's amazing.